I came down here and I was hoping that coming down here would be like the end of the journey. Like this would be like bringing the closure, but I think it's actually like the beginning of the journey.
Did she ever talk about Louisiana to you?
Um, no, she never did, and we never saw any people that lived, even though she did write to people. Maybe a letter a year she would get her brother or her sister.
Or
I
would
think the one brother was Alfred, her Albert. She grew up in Bastrop, Louisiana.
I gave it all I had to see this through, but I won't be coming back to you.
My name is Joseph Blaze Perrault Sr., and I was born in Bastrop, Louisiana.
What's your father's name?
Albert Benjamin Perrault. Well, the thing that comes to my mind is smoking that pipe, and always with that pipe in his mouth, and playing games. He played to win. He was competitive. He played to win.
What did he look like?
Well, he looks a lot like me. Yeah, he was a little on the dark complected side, and had high cheekbones, and his heritage was probably, because the name was some French and probably some Indian because it looked like he had Indian.
Did he ever mention his sister Lola?
Yes, she had moved away.
Hear her talk about her sister Lola, but she wasn't talking to me about it. She was talking to her sister Zola about their sister, you know. And when she'd go to Uncle Albert's house, they would talk about their sister. I think Aunt Lola would write to my grandmother. Now, my grandmother never learned how to read, so I would hear my aunt reading letters to her. But yeah, she did speak of her and wish she could see her.
Grandma White never wanted to go back. She wanted to, move on, and she went completely east from Louisiana, and I think just never looked back.
I think they were disconnected for so many years. Once Lola left Louisiana, he didn't drive, so it wasn't like if she ever got a car, it was go to Louisiana. She had 8 kids. She couldn't go too much further than go out to work, try to keep the kids.
Like, did you guys talk about your ethnicity, your ancestors, your background? Like, what was your experience with that? Was that a conversation that ever came up, or?
It never came up. They spoke French, but the French that I thought they were speaking was the French that I took in high school. Totally different. Totally, totally different. They spoke the Cajun French. They said their prayers in French, very Catholic, in the household. When they didn't want the kids to know anything about what they were saying, they spoke in French. I would listen to them if they talked about family and things, but I never really knew until I got older and started researching myself.
So how'd you
I
start
want
that?
to know more about who I was. Where did I come from? Who are these people? And I always heard, we're French and Indian. That's it.
No, he never mentioned anything about his heritage. Still don't know what we did the Ancestry.com DNA, but it didn't reveal anything that was of any interest to me.
I think I started this journey kind of from pretty like impersonal like position. Like I was on ancestry.com till like 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to build this family tree and learning all these names and these locations, and everything was just new because we didn't know anything about the side of our family. But as I've started this journey and started like talking to people and talking to family members and meeting people and hearing stories about who Lola was, like it's kind of changed um my perspective.
My daughter and I decided we were going to do Ancestry.com. And I did it one time and I couldn't stop. Be up at night and all of a sudden it was 4 o'clock in the morning and I was still going, oh, here we got to find this, talking to my cousin Chris, and Chris had been doing it too. I mean, we just all went crazy. And I really had to stop because I was obsessed.
But I never talked to him about it, accepted who we were, let it go at that. It was nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah.
He accepted who he was, and he was happy in that skin. Just accept who you are and be, and be content in that. You can't change it, so so accept it and be content in that.
Like some part of me wants to like hold on really tight to this because we almost didn't know anything about it. But I don't really know what that means. Like, I guess that's okay to not know. And that's kind of up to each person to decide what they do with it, right?
I wish that if I could go back and talk to her, I would say be proud of who you are. As this is a different generation. We would say be proud of who you are. Never be ashamed of who you are. Back in those days, you're talking the 1940s and 30s and 20s, and there was a lot of racism. They learned to survive in a time when most people probably would have collapsed and given up on life. But they were all survivors, every single one of them. And they never let life take them into a dark place. They always found a way to make it through and to succeed. And they always laughed about it too.
Like other stuff changes, but the water's just here. It's just been here. It's just like the same water. Maybe it's the same trees. I don't know. I don't know how old that tree is. Maybe it's the same tree. I think the weird thing is that I thought I cared more about like being here and be like, I'm touching the land, I'm touching everything. And I didn't know that there was family here that we could still be connected to. And I think finding family that I actually care about and that we have like this shared experience is actually more important to me. I didn't even think it was there, but now I'm realizing like, that's like the really important part is there's other people who understand your history because it's their history. And that's the part I really want to keep.
Everybody you meet that is related to you, that's an enrichment,
I started getting invited to other family reunions. I was sitting down talking to an elder. I was explaining to him who I am, and he said, "I know you." He recounted my whole genealogy, said how I was related to him. I'd never met this man in my life. That moment, it felt totally different. It totally blew me away because I'd spent time on genealogy. I'd spent time trying to better understand my ancestors. I might have lost track of them. I might have not been born to the same community, but they know who I am through my family. That totally changed my feelings about that and questions of belonging. Like a lost puppy from the litter or a lost bird or something, right?
Frank P. Rowe Jr. Incidentally, I'm a junior. I'm named after my dad. Who would you like to be? What would you like to be? I would say, I'm glad you asked me that question. Because I would like to be just exactly who I am. Be proud of your heritage. Ambition, motivation, and self-esteem. A person has got those three things. You can fight and you can win any battle that you come across. You're almost unstoppable.
So in my mind, I don't see being white passing as the goal. I think being white passing was the vehicle to get her to the life that she wanted, not as a white person, but as a human being who was ready to move on from something that had become impossible to live with. So I would consider my grandmother, Marion, to be somebody who doesn't give up, has always continued on to figure it out, to make something of herself, be where she wants to be and live life on terms that she sees fit to live. And there's a boldness to that clearly she got from her own mother, but it's there and it's in me.
My eyes have to adjust. Is it on? I came down here and I was hoping that coming down here would be like the end of the journey. Like this would be like bringing the closure. But I think it's actually like the beginning of the journey. Like Lola left from here and she like blazed her own trail and like did her own thing. And not everybody was in agreement with what it was, but that's okay. And I don't know. So that's what I was just thinking. Maybe this is like coming here is not like I come here and now it's all tied up neatly. It's like I come here and now things make more sense. Now I can move forward in the direction like I want to move forward in, like whatever that looks like. But I think that I'm on the right path.